do something crazy, because at least then, right, it's high risk, high reward instead of high risk, no reward. Instead of like slow, guaranteed death, it's like you'll probably die, but if you hit them, you get a far H starter and you can turn the round around, right? You can steal back some of those rounds. That's one thing. Realistically, though, the thing that is going to consistently win you this kind of matchup more often, instead of being like, how can I take this horrible situation and make it good for me? What you have to do is, how can I avoid the situation in the first place? The question you should be asking here is, how can I avoid the corner versus this patient playstyle? Alright, folks, we are back. More Granblue, more replay review. And, November 24th, but it's okay. I think over the holidays, people had other things to do. Even though this is quite in the past, the backlog is only like 15, 20 replays, something like that. Could be worse, certainly. But we've got, I believe this is Versuja, starts with, it's Laquai, yeah, it is Laquai. Laquai from a couple months ago here, talking about Versuja versus Catalina defensive playstyle. Hello, I've recently broken the master barrier and ran through this Catalina a few times. Let me turn this down just ever so slightly, actually. Run through this Catalina a few times. Both the character and their playstyle I have struggled with, and I figure I should lock in and learn how to deal with them. I know Catalina's super strong right now, but I feel like I fell apart against a really defensive, reactive playstyle. I couldn't successfully approach her almost the entirety of the 2 sets we played, and when she cornered me, she would sit right outside my poke range just to whiff punish. Okay, I'll tell you right away, this just happens. And Versuja is one of, I guess no, just this right here when she cornered me. Versuja is one of the worst characters in the game at dealing with this, because sort of the answer to someone who's just RP, like standing there and just waiting for you to whiff something and kill them, is you want to sort of just take a chance on them sitting there being reactive and like 6XL out of the corner, right? And then you can get them to block something, and it's plus you sort of try to fight your way out of the corner from there. The problem is Versuja's 6XL goes nowhere when it first starts. It's actually the reason that she's in discussion for worst defense of the game, I think, is because like her just immediately hitting 6XL like that, which is what we want to do in those cases, she literally just doesn't move, right? So like this sort of thing is incredibly effective against her, unfortunately. This is one of the biggest weaknesses of the character, realistically. Like, it's not that you can't do anything against it, but like, because she is this way, you're just going to have to take a huge risk to actually get out of the corner as Versuja when this happens. You're gonna have to like hit some big ass button and hope you counter hit them or something. As for the defensive reactive playstyle, we've talked about it before previously, but yeah, we'll see. Well, I want to see how this actually looks here, and if I can add anything. So my biggest questions are, how do I beat this Catalina operator? When you figure it out, let me know as well. How should I approach a defensive reactive opponent, and how can I escape the corner versus this patient playstyle? Okay, sure. This is a 10-minute replay here. That's fine. Let's take a look. So, as always, with the replay reviews, it's the you know how it'll be. We do 2 sort of things that we focus on. One is if you can't analyze, like if you're trying to analyze your own replay and you're just not sure where to look for mistakes, where to look for points of improvement, very simply, when you get hit, when you lose your turn, right? When you get like either like when you had your opponent blocking and you were like running offense and then suddenly now you're blocking, or you get hit or something, or just when you get hit in general. If those never happen, you will win. Now, of course, actually making that never happen is unlikely, but you can at least try to minimize it, right? So those are good places to pause and think about it, and you might notice patterns as you go, if you do that often as well. The other thing is, so this is a weird one, right? I barely missed Miles going on break. Yeah, hello, Clunk. We did your the Basaraga one like last week or a couple weeks ago or something. It'll be on YouTube at some point, maybe. But yeah, so the other thing I usually like to talk about is like a layer 1 approach to how to think about a matchup and where you want to stand on the screen, and like what you want to take, what cadence you want to take as far as how aggressive or defensive you want to be, and how much you want to mix those up. Is this whole attacker defender thing? That's a weird one, man, because these are 2 pretty heavily defensive characters, in the sense that, you've got big buttons, you get a lot of reward off like random stray pokes in the mid screen, right? You have a lot of corner carry, both of you do a lot of damage, right? You both have good projectiles. I mean, Versuja probably better, but like Catalina's M Fireball is a reaction check. Like once it leaves her sword, it takes 20 frames to cross the entire screen. So like even then, I don't really know how like much you're gonna be zoning her out, right? So like this is a strange one for me personally. I think at the end of the day, this is gonna be like you both have very similar strengths, but at the end, like your buttons are a little bigger than hers. Your zoning is a little better than hers, right? So I think it's gonna be very important, but at the same time, like her reward when she hits you is gonna be a lot better than yours, because like we mentioned, if she gets you to the corner, you're going straight to hell, right? So I think this is a tough one to navigate, but I think it's gonna be important for you to try and stand right outside the range where like, Catalina far M is gonna miss, but like Versuja far M is gonna hit. And that range does exist, right? Your buttons at the end of the day are bigger than hers, despite how good hers are. Yeah, that M fireball is the big problem here. If I would honestly, like, I probably wouldn't if I were you. I don't think you want to stand at full screen in this matchup, just because like I think this M fireball is like gonna kick your ass. It's a non cooldown fireball that you can just spam over and over, and it's so fast and it just controls so much of the screen. And like pillar by itself is just not gonna do that. H pillar will work, but then you're on cooldown, right? Yeah. So this, man, here's the problem. So the answer to this. Guess who didn't get his promotion? Oh no, Echo. The answer to this always has been like run at them. If they're just sitting there being defensive and waiting for you to whiff, it's the classic thing, right? You can play preemptive, you can play reactive, or you can play in a way that beats people playing reactively, right? So the thing here is, if she's just standing there, you have to run at her and like, you know, take your turn back. Is that a risk? Of course. Are you taking risks because you're in the corner? Yeah. The problem is, Versucha just can't do that, man. Like this is incredibly effective against Versucha. Yeah, trying to fight, if she gets far away enough, sure, like trying to use your poke tools, but like she was probably standing a little too far back right there, but there is this, like that is you identified that you struggled with that. That's fair. I think that is literally Versucha's biggest weakness, right? So it definitely doesn't it tracks. Ooh, going for the 6/6M there is a little, that's a little ambitious. Just because like what happens if this hits, right? Like if that hits, you get like 1,000 damage and no Oki. I guess you got maybe like your stock, I suppose, but you already have it. And then if it doesn't, I mean, this happens to you and you die, right? That's maybe a little bit too excitable of an option there, I'd say. Okay, I like that. Your 2L is pretty good. If people are close to you, it's very good for catching shimmies and stuff. Versucha does, she has a very nice 2L on defense up close, right? Yeah, I like the idea. Using, I was just about to say until you did it, which is good. Use your brave points offensively in this situation, right? What can you do as Versucha though? You just have to take some sort of big stupid risk, right? Like you have to, like 6XL is like the safer version of taking some big stupid risk that's fast and plus on block and shit. But you just have to like, you know, you have to like swing out like a far H and hope for the best. You have to like jump and hope for the best. You have to, you know, throw out like an Anitya and hope for the best, right? Because you're just completely outmatched in that situation, and like the universal answer that most characters have that gets them out of someone spacing buttons against you like that just doesn't work for you. Vasaraga struggles with this too. Voss has his own ways to cheat out of it though. He can like 2-2 you or you tackle or something. Versucha has none of that, right? Her reversal also has no horizontal range on it. Ladiva struggles with this to a lesser extent because her 6XL doesn't go that far, but it's much better than Versucha's, right? But you just have to take some sort of big risk to get them to block something. Which is probably at that range, like swing out a far H and hoping for the best. What I was gonna say is, you're gonna die here. You're gonna die here if you don't do something now. You have to kill this Catalina right now or you lose, right? So spending your brave points basically on cooldown is like a layer 1 here is a good idea. Spending them offensively, because one, you have a resource advantage. So if you and the Catalina, if you just go brave counter and then you get a 6XL on her as Oki, and then she brave counters, and then you brave counter, and then she brave counters, you'll win, right? It'll end on your turn with 1 brave point left for you, right? And the other thing too is just like, you just need a turn. You just need to hope that you can catch this Catalina off guard or something. Far H is risky. I do it in neutral all the time. Far H in the corner, when you're cornered and your opponent is standing there watching you whiff buttons, Far H is very risky, right? In neutral, sure, yeah, but like when we're talking about the situation where you're in the corner, right? Because that's the thing that he's really struggling with, was when Catalina's doing this. Where is it? When Cat is doing this, right? This is the nightmare situation. Honestly, even from here, Far H whiffs is the problem. But here, this is actually quite well. The Catalina is standing so far away from you here. Like, if your Far H is gonna whiff, the Cat is standing so far away that she's kind of given up pressure, right? Like, in this case, like, it's actually a good idea by Laquai. Like, he's far away enough that, like genuinely, he can, like, pillar here, he can Anitya here, and it's not even that bad, right? Like, if Cat's gonna stand this far away, you can genuinely use, like, a special to get your turn back. But if she's, like, if you move her, like, 1 Catalina length ahead, right? So if she stands, like, here, this is where things can get a little bit nasty, right? Because, like, you might get counter hit on the startup of your Far H and die, or you might, like, whiff a button and die, right? And she can adjust her spacing suddenly, like, she can, like, backdash out and then kill you or something, and you can't adjust your spacing. This is, like, the fundamental reason why being in the corner is bad, is because your spacing is locked outside of approaching the opponent, which is risky, but the opponents can move up and move back, right? It's that, and the fact that most characters' most damaging combos are in the corner. That's like the main reason that being in the corner is a bad thing in the first place, right? It's like fundamentally in fighting games. Yeah, H pillar. I mean, the other pillars. I mean, the light pillar is kind of slow. Is the thing. H pillar from that distance where the cat is standing so far away. H pillar is not a bad idea. H pillar or Anitya. Okay, so what happens here? You end up... Yeah, so I wouldn't do it, man. Like, why? You have a big... Like, believe it or not, you are sort of... I personally think you are sort of pretty... Not favored to win this round, maybe, but it's very likely. Because, again, why would you DP here, right? Right, just, like... Delay tech, make sure you don't get thrown, and like if you block anything, go for the 6XL, or go for the BC rather, right? You have a resource advantage here, and once Catalina's out of resources, she then gets put in a very unfortunate position where like she's in the corner, she has no brave points, you're Versuja, any touch is gonna kill her, right? So she gets put in like basically a guess for game situation of like, do you want to DP or super and die if they get blocked, or do you want to try and hold this offense and maybe die because you have no, like, if you're not going to reversal, right, you're in a pretty bad spot, right? Versuja does have some pretty, like, she has a lot of, she has infinite plus frames, you have all your specials up, you didn't have your stock, but still, right? So, like, I would say that DPing here is unnecessary. I know you're low on health, but it's very important to keep track of the resources, right? Fighting games, especially a lot of the more modern ones that are all like, you know, very strong universal system mechanics and stuff, they are a resource war, right? And you are winning that war right now. Health, no. Meter, no. But the most important one, you have an extra brave point. So this DP is not necessary. You're not in such a bad spot that you need to DP, right? Realistically, you brave counter Catalina one more time, you 6XL her, she brave counters you, she goes for some Oki, you brave counter her, and you're good. Obviously, Catalina can try to bait a BC or something, but that's what, you know, that's where the mind games start coming in, right? If she tries to just spot dodge, you can kill her easily, like just off punching the spot dodge. So, but that wasn't that, you know, you weren't actually in as bad of a spot as you thought you were right there, expressly because you had an extra brave point on the Catalina. Brave, as it so happens, brave counter is really strong, too strong. And as a result, the guy who can brave, if someone's got a resource advantage and they can brave counter more often, they're probably winning a lot of the time, right? Despite like what any other signals might tell you, right? Okay. Oh yeah. I mean, this is a problem, right? If Cat does decide to suddenly go aggressive or something, you try to swing out a button, she kills you. But again, this is the nightmare situation for you. It's one of the things that makes Lucilius super hard for you as well. Though Lucilius is even worse, I think. Oh, interesting. Good spot dodge. What the? Good. Well done. Avoiding the chip there. DP kills you here. Yeah, that's a tough situation, right? Because DP kills you, so you kind of you're guessing for game again. Like you kind of have to spot dodge there because the DP is a guaranteed kill if you don't. But then when you know if they don't DP, they just kill you off the spot dodge. Getting onto chip is a nightmare scenario. Unfortunately, it is very hard to like consistently win on chip. You're just you're gambling and hoping you guess correctly. Okay, good start. All right, I like what I'm seeing. AKA just you beating up Catalina and not getting beat up yourself. Always fun. See, so she just tried to do it right there. She can do this way better than you can because Cat 6XL is great, right? But yeah, this is what you do. Like, that's not the wrong option from him right there. This is what you do against someone who's just spacing you out in the corner. And you notice, like, Catalina can go way further than you can. But you're still in the corner. It's still risky, right? And you do just happen to far M right here. This is not on reaction. 6XL is 9 frames, right? But you just happen to far L, they get counter hit, and now they eat a full combo for it. But that is still a preferable alternative to having to like swing out like a far H or a special move or something. Because at least 6XL has a 9 frame startup and puts you plus on block right in your opponent's face. So like it's a if you do manage to get it out, it's easier to not get counter hits, and it's a much better situation. Like look, right? She gets her 6XL, and now she just literally, I mean, this is one of the strengths of Catalina certainly, but she just reverses the situation on you entirely. Now you're in the corner. Notably, brave point advantage, right? Ooh, I would have brave counted her back right here, right? Again, resources. Do you know about the 6XH mix on Versusi? No. What do you mean? It's plus on block, right? So like resources, right? You have an extra brave point on her. She brave counters the brave counter, do it right back to her, man. Like this is like either she has to give up, she has to bow down and say, you know what, you've got more health, you have more resources than I do. I'm just gonna let you be +6 on block and take your turn back here. In which case, amazing, it's your turn and you're out of the corner against Catalina. Mission accomplished. Alternatively, if she goes for it again, even if it knocks you down, you still have another brave point, right? If you can get a brave, if you get a BC, she is now again shit out of luck outside of trying for some big reversal or something, right? So I think one of the really big things is you have to keep an eye on your resources, and when you have a resource advantage in this game, it is not a minor thing at all. It's actually huge. Right? It's very important to know, like, oh, like, you know, I'm a BC up, right? We all talk about how strong BC all the time, sure. And like while it's fun to meme about it, you then have to, but you have to go one layer deeper and be like, okay, what does this mean? Right? If BC is so goddamn strong, that means if one guy can BC 3 times and the other guy can only BC twice, that's a problem for the other guy, right? It's a really significant problem. Ooh, careful doing this, by the way. This is punishable. People don't do this for some. People just like, I don't know, maybe Rasuja's. I mean, were you punishable here? You spaced it out pretty well. You probably know this is punishable. Maybe you. I think your ass might be in throw range. I don't know. It's hard to say. This is -4 though, right? Normally in the mid screen, it's fine, but in the corner, there's not enough pushback. RH follow up can be crossed over with 6xh, and you get behind them as they get up. Interesting. I mean, I guess that would, if someone, you should be holding the guard button at all times, but that'll be interesting, certainly. That's a funny little idea, anyway. But yeah, be careful far H-ing in the corner, right? You are very throwable, certainly. What the fuck? Okay, sure. Yeah, you 2H'd him. Why not? I mean, again, maybe not 2H. I think you were trying to far H and you just happened to be crouching. But like, yeah, like in this scenario, I think you've actually, like, I think you've stumbled upon kind of what you have to do in this matchup when Cat puts you in the corner pretty well. It's not good, right? You don't like doing it, but you can't, the alternative is sit there and eventually just guess wrong on her offense and die, right? You do have to just, assuming the Cat looks like they're committing to playing this big defensive playstyle, you kind of do just have to take some big risks, swing out some huge button, and hope that you get them to block it, and then try to take your turn from there, right? This will be a situation, I think, that's worth using stock if you have it too. Like if you're on defense and you use stock, if you can get them to block a far H and then like do an Anitya off the far H and do the stock follow-up off the Anitya, I think that's the one where you stomp down your plus on block, right? That, like, in this case, like being in the corner against Catalina is such a horrible situation for you that unironically, like spending your stock to get plus and get out of the corner is a huge, huge thing, right? Assuming you have it, of course. In a situation like this, you don't. And I like it. Listen, you haven't jumped out of the corner the whole time, right? You haven't jumped out of the corner the whole set. I don't think that was bad necessarily, but you're in a horrible spot, right? You're in a horrible, like, this is. I always say I really like Versuja's design because she is a character with like very obvious weaknesses, but also she's really strong, right? Like she can do this to you, right? We always make fun of how busted Catalina is for getting all the corner carry and shit. Versuja does it about as well and gets more damage off it a lot of the time too. She does insane damage. She's got good buttons. She's got good zoning, right? She's got a lot of plus frames. She's got really big normals for like even for the exact same way that Catalina can space people out in the corner, but she like just has these like gigantic weaknesses on defense. And it makes me feel like she feels very interactive to fight, right? Now, character theory design aside, unfortunately, this is you getting your gigantic weakness on defense exploited, right? So you do just have to do something silly. I think it's well, we'll talk about it at the end, I suppose, once I think we're on the, yeah, we have a couple minutes left to go here. Bro, my computer locked me out of Twitch? What? What does that even mean? It can do that? You got Vanguard anti-cheat on there, bro? They got kernel access to your shit? Okay. Oh, baby. Sure. I think one of the big things, too, is I wouldn't... I feel like having a turn is very important in this matchup because of how bad it can be if Catalina takes her turn on you, right? So, like, with that in mind, I'm not sure, like, you kind of have some initiative right here after they block the Anitya, you do all of this, right? I'm not so sure. I wonder if it's even worth... It's a hard one, right? So in a lot of cases, you'll see, at least I know this is a thing that happens with Vasaragas, for example, too, where like sometimes you have a turn right now, you have Prio on Catalina, you have her on the ground, you have like the upper hand. Giving up the Oki to get the stock, I wonder if that's worth it. Yes, generally, as Versuja, having that stock is super important, but Catalina can so easily, if she gets one turn on you, completely just lock you out for the rest of the match, that I think you need to be more precious about holding on to your offense, right? Like, I wonder if the correct answer here, instead of stocking up after you knock her down here, which is you got the knockdown, that's good, right? I wonder if the correct answer is to instead just, like, run up on her and start running more offense. Like, run up in, like, meaty 5L or, like, meaty 5H or something like that and try to bait a Brave counter or something, right? Like, keep your turn going against the Catalina. Because I think... one of the questions you asked here is like, how could I escape the corner versus this patient playstyle? and I've been harping on it the whole time. But the answer, the funny, the haha funny, is that you don't, right? It's horrible. But like if you run that situation, if the Catalina is playing properly and you are playing properly, if you run that situation where you're in the corner and the Catalina is spacing you out and being very patient, trying to whiff punish, trying to counter hit, you are going to like die there 4 times out of 5 or something, right? So what you should think about instead, in a lot of times, instead of being like, how do I turn this like horribly disadvantageous situation into like a better one, and like making the most of a bad situation is important, right? So like, for example, it's good to realize when you're just fucked, so like all the rules go out the window. Oh, like play safe, don't take risks, whatever. No, I'm fucked here, I'm gonna die. If I don't do something, I'm gonna die and I'm fucked, right? So instead, we're gonna take risks. I'm gonna swing out far H, I'm gonna throw out a Nitya, right? Because at least then, it's high risk, high reward, instead of high risk, no reward, right? So that's good. That's a bad matchup for Suja? No, I would think so. I would think it's quite bad, yeah. But so because you're in that situation, you throw out the book of like, oh, play my safe, delay tech based, find my gap. No, you're fucked. So you just do something crazy, because at least then, right, it's high risk, high reward, instead of high risk, no reward. Instead of like slow, guaranteed death, it's like you'll probably die, but if you hit them, you get a far H starter and you can turn the round around, right? You can steal back some of those rounds. That's one thing. Realistically though, the thing that is going to consistently win you this kind of matchup more often, instead of being like, how can I take this horrible situation and make it good for me? What you have to do is, how can I avoid the situation in the first place? The question you should be asking here is, how can I avoid the corner versus this patient playstyle? Right? How can I make it so Catalina gets me in the corner as little as possible? Because unfortunately, once she gets you there, it's game over. For like, this is your character. It has one gigantic glaring weakness, and Catalina is one of the characters that takes advantage of it better than almost anyone else. And it's that your 6XL goes fucking nowhere. Right? Doesn't sound like much, but think about how you would necessarily get out of that corner situation. That's like that is the worst thing about Versucha, is that her 6XL doesn't go anywhere when she just hits immediate dash button and late. Right? So, all this to say, and it's kind of a long tangent, but all of this to say, the way that you keep Catalina from ever getting into the corner, at least you minimize the occurrences of you getting put in the corner, is don't do this. You got your knockdown, you got lucky they smacked into it, you whiff punished them with the Anitya, you get the knockdown, great. Don't go for stock here. Keep your turn going, right? Yes, stock is ideal, but now you're kind of back in like neutral, and you're also in this like, I mean, you have a little bit of priority here. Like you are a little bit plus still, I think. You're like +3 or something. But you're also in this like up close neutral where Catalina's better than you are, right? This is not your ideal space. It's like real far back where like, again, your far M will hit and her far M will whiff, sure. Or like maybe even full screen, but honestly, I'm still not super convinced your zoning beats for M Fireball by itself, right? But maybe, right? So don't do this. I would have instead gone for some sort of either if you don't want to run up if you don't want to run up close pressure on the Catalina, what you would do here is like backdash twice and get the full screen. Right? Backdash twice, get the full screen, run your zoning offense if you feel more comfortable in that, right? Or run up to her and get like Oki, get like a 6XL, get a close L, get a close H, something like that, right? Put yourself in a situation that's advantageous instead of this is investing in the future, but you're, you know, you got cancer, man. I'm sorry, it's terminal. It's stage 4, right? You have no future. You have to kill Catalina now. You got your chance. You have to kill her now, or you're probably gonna lose. Now you might not lose this round, right? I mean, spoiler alert, this happens, so you're probably not gonna win this round. I do know that, but you have no future in this matchup, right? Planning for the future is a luxury afforded to those in good matchups. If you get lucky and you get the chance, kill her immediately, right? My beautiful save jabs, their manipulative pressure, my peak reward risk, their vicious abara, yeah. So all of that to say that don't necessarily always prioritize stock over keeping your turn, right? Sure. Is she dead here? I think maybe she could. You can't get like close H with Versucha because her thing is too slow, I think, right? Even on counter hit. She's almost dead here. It's like this, again, your character is real good. She hits like a fucking truck, right? You just have to avoid your situation where you're weak. Oh boy. What happened here? Yeah, I mean, I think you panicked a little here, right? You're in a good spot, right? I mean, it is a huge button. I'll maybe poke with a bigger button, you know? Because it's not even, honest, like, it's not even that close to hitting, to be completely real with you. Right? Like yes, it's kind of close. But like, okay, there, sure. The first one, understandable, in case she looks like she's running into you, right? Once she stops, I don't know, man. I mean, so here's another thing, right? This is, again, where Think about, I believe close range counter hit into close range on Versuja does actually work. Holy, I guess it's because she has so much hit stun on the thing, right? Interesting. So you could have killed her there. I think you didn't get the close range, right? But in this case, think about it, right? So yes, the corner is great, and you're trying to maintain the corner right here by like doing all these 5Ls. However, have you considered that you have 95% health and 3 brave points, and they have 5% health and 2 brave points? If I'm you, the safest, most consistent way you close this round out probably is screen space is another resource that you are very rich in right now, right? Catalina is in the corner and she's trying to scrap viciously. Have you considered, when you do this, instead of even close range combos could lead them crouching on counter hit? Oh, okay. It causes like nuclear damage. Yeah. Have you considered that instead of doing this again, maybe instead of getting stock again, right? But maybe you're still pretty plus after this, right? Like yeah, you're acting first there. Have you considered trying to like hit her immediately with some special, like you did? It didn't work. She crouched it. Cool. But then just like backdashing a bunch of times until your fireballs are back off cooldown. Spend your screen space, and the Catalina needs to approach at this point, right? Now, we can talk all we want about who's the aggressor, who's the defender. Catalina's a very strong defensive character. Cool. All of those depend on round start conditions. Do you know who's the aggressor in any matchup when one guy has 95% HP and one guy has 5% HP? Almost any matchup, right? Maybe not like Fairy Ladiva or something, but Ladiva, like, those are the two extremes of the game, right? But like, in the case where one guy has 95% health and the other guy has 5% health, the guy on no health is the one who has to approach almost all of the time. Right?
Very good odds that this person is incredibly smart.
And thank you very much for the prime. 2 months, nice. I would recommend in this case, honestly, just backdash a bunch of times. She's especially like once you see that this Catalina is trying to fight, like she's trying to run out, backdash a bunch, wait for your cooldowns to come back up, threaten chip. They have to either like sit there and try start. You can like bait out some spot dodges and punish those, or you know you actually block the fireballs and they're on chip, and at that point this match is like damn near unwinnable this round, right? Or they start playing this like super aggressive to try and run into you and catch up to you so you can't get the zoning, and then you can hit them on the way in, right? You have the advantage in every single part of the game right now. Health advantage, brave point advantage, screen space advantage. I mention it sometimes offhand when I'm playing, but like, especially on Eustace, I've done it a lot more, and even like, you know, on like Geef and stuff, sometimes even in Street Fighter. But I'll say like, I'm gonna pay some of the screen space I have right now to be able to like walk back and like hit them on the way in. Like I say like, I'm paying in screen space, right? Because walking back in, I'm gonna repeat this, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself a lot. Walking back in fighting games is overpowered. It's so strong that the universal, every game in the genre limits how much you can do it, right? Every game in the genre limits how much you can walk back by putting a corner at the other side of the screen. Because walking back is overpowered. You have all of the control of the situation. If someone is walking forward and someone is walking back, you're blocking by default. They're not blocking by default. They are getting closer to you, so they are taking on risk. You are going further away from them, so you are taking away all the risk. And again, if they hit a random button, you'll block it. And right, you can suddenly decide to walk up at them and hit them, and they're not blocking. Right. I feel like run up is so good that running up low against a person is getting away from your pokes throws range. I mean, if she's gonna commit to a run up 6-6M, right? If he's gonna commit to a run up 6-6-7 in this situation, that's a big risk, right? She could certainly. But my point is, view your screen space as a resource and figure out like the safest. You could have won this round by poking later. You could have gotten her. Like you could have counter hit her. She would have died. But it turns out that that's not what happens, right? If you had the safest way for you to win right there is just you are. How do I best describe this? You are so ahead you can play very oppressively, right? Like because like, you can just like brute force them with money. You can brute force them with just how much health and how many brave points and how much screen space you have, right? Now, suddenly, right, you're actually in a pretty bad spot. And again, this is one of those other things, it's the same thing we were talking about earlier, where like, value your turns like your life against Catalina, because she can really just turn things around on you so easily because of how directly she exploits your character's biggest weakness, right? So value your turns like gold. The best way to hold on to this turn, right? Run away from her ass. Run away from her ass and threaten chip. Yeah, you're a character with like full screen projectiles that can do chip, right? Exactly what Luca's saying. Instead, you take to be fair, that is still, like, that's whole interaction is still pretty weighted in your favor, but like, why go for the 70-30 when you can go for the 95-5? You know? Why not do the thing that is most likely to win you the match? And now you end up in the corner, and this is super losable for you, actually. Like, I don't know if you win this or not, you could totally lose this. You have a brave point advantage? Okay, you don't. But like, that was super losable, suddenly. Like, if you play like super annoying and lame and just run away from them, that's a very hard round to lose, right? Sure. I've had embarrassing amounts of luck just throwing up versus 623M. People twice in a row, people don't expect the dumb second one. Yeah. What up? How do you get to this corner so quick? I thought you didn't get hit, did you? Oh, you kind of did. Okay. Yeah, you got hit. Okay. Sure. I was gonna say, like, don't walk back too much against Catalina, but no, that's not what you did. That's not what you did. You have to hold your. But I guess quick thing. You do again by the virtue of, like, I have to spend the least amount of time in the corner as possible in this matchup, right? You definitely, you didn't do it there, but just make sure that you're not, like, you have to hold your space and not walk back way too much, right? Because otherwise you will inevitably, like, you're just gonna end up back to the wall, and that's your lose condition. In general, in Grand Blue, but, like, in fighting games, really. But especially in this matchup. Because, like, sometimes he's trying to force his way in. Sometimes he can just play lame. The problem is, I'm not so certain how well he can play lame against Catalina in the neutral. It's a tough spacing to hold, right? It's a tough spacing to hold. But definitely, like, there's a little bit too much, like, I will say, you've done, like, light lariat and medium lariat a bunch. Those in particular, I'm not so sure how much I like them, right? Nitya missed right there. You have projectile advantage? Do you? That's what I'm genuinely wondering. Do you? I mean, H pillar, sure. That's a cooldown. I'm pretty sure Catalina's M fireball is better than Versucha's entire zoning kit. No? Like, do you? I don't think you do. You have normals advantage. Your normals are a little bigger than hers. There is, like, a spacing on the screen. Most of the time you do. Maybe. I'm not so sure I'm convinced, personally. Catalina's M fireball is a better zoning option than 95%, like, all of Versucha's fireballs put together, I think. Except H pillar, but, you know, H pillar, of course, is a cooldown. So when you throw it out once, you can't throw it out anymore. Howdy, y'all. We replay review? Indeed. Hello, Con. Pretty sure 623X kills Cat's M Fireball. I'm pretty sure she recovers first in that case, no? Or am I messaging correctly? I meant that walkback is so strong, opponents getting out of your effective range. That run-up blow is a valid way of opening up defensive opponents in those ranges. Oh, so true. L Pillar might kill the Fireball? Dude, I don't think L Pillar is fast enough. Right? Like, if you do it on a reaction, it's not going to work. Right? Again, when Catalina's M Fireball leaves her sword, it takes 20 frames to cross full screen distance. It goes from literally one side of the screen to the other in like 19 frames or something. I counted it once, right? It's a reaction check. L Pillar is, you have to do it preemptively. It's M Fireball is so, they gave her a gun. I didn't even know it was 20 frames. That's crazy. It's a reaction check, man. Obviously, there's startup to the Fireball, but I'm saying once she actually shoots it, once the startup of like her kind of holding her sword back and then shooting it is done, because the whole thing is like probably like 36, because it's like 16 frames of startup and then like 20 frames of travel time. But yes, once she actually shoots it out, it's 20 frames from one side of the screen to the other. They gave her a gun. It's like a hit scan projectile. The Fireball takes a third of a second to get to cross the screen, right? That's like the big reason I'm like, does Versucha even have projectile advantage here? Right? Because like you can't do 623M, maybe on reaction, maybe, but that's tough. H Pillar is like your, is that the 2B projectile? Fair enough. That's fair, yeah, her little laser. Big thing is Catalina's doesn't cost any skill gauge. She just fucking does it. Over and over and over and over again. Sure. A little too much Brave counterbaiting, I think, also. It's RPS, and she has a Brave point advantage there, so she should be Brave countering, but... Nice spot dodge, okay. Good conversion. Oh, baby. A little too far out, I guess. Yeah, this is a tough spot for you. I'm not entirely sure what you're meant to do here. Good roll for the Fireball. Okay, yeah. Far M not quite reaching. I like you holding your space with Far M. He messes up the Fireball, this is huge. The problem... Yeah, the only thing is, so this, I understand in this situation, I get why you did it, because you're scared, right? But, again, on the topic of our number one priority is not getting into the corner, right? I think this is a little too much walking back from you. You kind of end up walking yourself into the corner here. Not that much, but like a little bit too much, right? This like a regular amount of walking back, possibly. But again, in this matchup, don't do it, right? Like it is so, you have so much less agency in this matchup as soon as Cat has you in the corner, right? Okay, let's talk about it. Let's answer your 3 questions from the beginning, right? How do I beat this Catalina operator, right? He's real good, man, but I will say, right, again, as Versucha, I think me personally, I could argue, like Luca's saying you can go full screen and then you have projectile advantage. Sure, maybe. I think as Versuja, realistically, you do have bigger buttons than Catalina. Your 2M is bigger than her 2M. Your far M is bigger than any of her buttons that aren't like far H, right? Like there is a, I'm pulling out the Microsoft Paint again, man. I gotta, because this is always like, it's always hard to explain like verbally, right? So there is, if this, hold on. If this is one corner and this is the other corner and this is the whole screen, right? There's like, so like if Catalina's buttons, right? Like if she's standing here, right? If her buttons reach to so you guys can see my mouse, right? So like if she's standing here, right? Then her buttons max reach, like her safe buttons to poke in neutral with is like here, right? So like there is a point though, it's not a very, so like if you're standing in this range, her buttons are faster than yours and that's bad for you. That's actually not good. Like you're in a disadvantage in the footsies here, right? But your buttons are like 15% bigger than hers. Just barely. She's got really good ones, but you have some of the biggest, like Versuja Far M is like one of the biggest mediums in the whole game. It might be the biggest medium in the entire game. I can't remember exactly, right? But so you can stand like here, right? You can stand like here, and then you just have to hold this spacing, right? Where your far M can hit her, but her far M can't hit you. And this is, I think, where you like this is your thriving spot, I think, in this matchup, right? Here is like okay, but it's kind of bad for you. Maybe full screen is good, right? But I honestly, I don't. You can't lose to mids and throws? Yeah, listen, as funny as the Lord Knight clip is, unfortunately, if you couldn't lose to mids and throws, then nobody could ever win in Granblue. Mids and throws are surprisingly effective in this video game. But, like, maybe here's good for you? I'm not so convinced with how M-Fireball works, right? What are y'all talking about? Talking about the spacing Versuja needs to stand in to try and fight Catalina, right? So you'll notice, if like this space here is like mildly disadvantageous for you, and this space here is like mildly disadvantageous for you. And if you ever get put in the corner, you like it's like 80-20, right? And the only space you want to hold is like this big. That's what we call a bad matchup right there, right? This is a big reason why I think this matchup is not very good for you. But I do think this, like, you really want to hold that space and kind of weave in and out of that space where your far M is effective and hers isn't, right? And you can even every now and then try and like sneak in some like far H as like a 6XL or something like that, right? What I'm saying is he's too scared of playing defense when Cat doesn't have that scary of an offense if you're patient. I disagree entirely. If Cat is standing like, if the problem here is that Versuja literally has no valid defensive option when she's in the corner and Catalina has her in the corner, right? Because your 6XL doesn't go anywhere and you have no safe way to poke out of the corner and Catalina has some of the best buttons in the game. There's no defense here for Versuja. It's brave counter or die. So I think that you just don't get in the corner, right? Like, getting into the corner in this matchup is a lose condition. We'll talk about that in a second, though. 5L crushes lights? Yeah, she's not hitting lights, Doug. Is 6XL a good defensive option? Yes. So, okay, let me explain. I think some people disjoined. So this situation right here, right, is the big, and this is his third question, right? How can I escape the corner versus this patient playstyle, right? So let's talk about this. Where is it exactly? I think it's like right, wait, is it right here? I forget, maybe it was earlier? Yeah, this situation, right? Right when she does this. Yeah, see? 2M's not reaching. This situation is a classic that a lot of characters in Granblue with good normals run their corner offense this way. They don't necessarily run up to your face and mix you, or not mix you, just like run RPS on your ass, right? Instead, they'll like try and space themselves out and like whiff punish you. They'll walk up a bit and then walk back and try to whiff punish you for doing your stuff. Because, you know, in the corner, again, when you have your opponent in the corner, you're playing footsies on easy mode. Because you can adjust your spacing and they can't adjust theirs, right? The answer, one of the sort of default answers to this kind of pressure is to run out of the corner and 6XL your opponent, right? Because at that point, if they're playing too defensively, too patiently, 6XL is an unreactable 9-frame option that's plus on block, and if you get them to block it, you can start your turn and potentially like get your way out of the corner, right? Is that a risk? You're saying could they just check your 6XL? Absolutely, but you're in the corner, dog. What do you expect, right? Like you have to take risks because you've got to the lose condition. If you want to escape the lose condition, you're gonna die, right? So the problem is that Versuja's 6XL doesn't work this way. Because if you hit the immediate dash into immediate L on Versuja, she goes from like here to like here. She just doesn't move. this is, in my opinion, the single biggest weakness of the character, right? Is that this like universal offensive situation that everyone has a system mechanic that's designed to kind of get them out of it, she like doesn't really. So the nightmare scenario here is exactly this, right? And her DP also has horrible horizontal range, so like that's not really gonna help you. At this spacing, funny enough, the cat is standing actually so far away that Laquai ends up like throwing on a Nitya here or something and it works, right? Which like unironically is what you probably should do at that spacing. But like, you know, this is also very, like you could very easily also just die for that, right? If the cat suddenly went offensive and like your 30 frame startup fireball, then you just get smacked out of it or something, right? But again, so the point of this being, how do I beat this Catalina operator is understand your lose conditions and avoid them like the plague. Understand your win conditions, and they're not that numerous, right? But they exist. And again, stick to them like glue, right? And I think your win condition here is your better normals, right? You have better, bigger normals, not by a lot. It'd be a lot nicer if you had way bigger normals, but you don't. So your win condition is find the spacing where you can poke at her and she can poke at you and play around that mercilessly. And then that's like you never do one thing over and over because you get predictable, right? So if you just stand at the spacing the whole time, you get predictable. You can like mix in some offense, but your primary neutral goal should be to stick at the spacing, right? Every now and then you can backdash and try to zone. Every now and then you can run at them and go offensive suddenly. But like sticking at this spacing, like this spacing right here, basically, should be your primary sort of objective, right? How should I approach a defensive reactive opponent? I'm gonna be honest. I'm not entirely certain this Catalina fits that bill that much, but we talked about this previously. If someone is playing like hyper reactively, what you do, so first off, you can use unreactable options, but those are, you know, the safe one in the game is 6XL, and Versuja doesn't have that, right? You have your lariats and stuff, but like either they end your turn or they're straight up punishable on block, or like you need to consume a stock to keep yourself safe or whatever, right? But realistically, the more consistent way, besides just like do something unreactable and hope that it hits them, is use the reactions against them. We've talked about this before, right? Where if someone is like every single time you do like, they're immediately doing whatever the perfect answer, like you jump. Every time you jump, they're like 2Hing frame like 10 or something. You're like, what the fuck is happening? What you do instead is suddenly you just like neutral jump and they 2H and they whiff it or something. And you're not gonna get a punish off that, right? Or you space out a jump, right? You space out a jump and empty jump so your hurt box doesn't extend. So like their 2H whiffs, right? That's not gonna, maybe you won't get a punish off that, but it'll make them, it'll add an extra layer of processing to their mental stack, which can slow down their reactions by like 3-4 frames, which might be the difference between getting anti-aired and not. If they have like some anti-projectile move, right? This is it's like the Street Fighter classic, right? This is the 1987 right here, right? If they have some really good anti-projectile move, and you are like throwing your fireballs, and every time you throw your fireball, they like do the move and kill you. What you do now is you start 5Ling at full screen, right? If they're really good at reacting, and like anytime they see any movement, they go. They need to start representing that you sometimes just like doing 5L at full screen. They do their anti-projectile move, and you block it, you kill them, right? This is the way to beat people who are really good at reacting to things, is use their good reactions against them, essentially, right? And again, sometimes it just nabs you full punishes. Sometimes, and more consistently, what it'll do again is make them second guess things. Now they know that not every piece of movement is a fireball. It could be a 5L, it could be whatever, right? They'll have to sit there for a little bit more, and again, that little delay could be the difference between getting the proper answer or dying, right? And then again, how can I escape the corner versus patient playstyle? We talked about this. I'm just going to repeat this one last time. The answer here is you don't. Yes, you can. Okay, there's a two-part answer. The answer here is this is a horrible situation for you. This is, you know, who does this? Who does this to you better than Catalina? Like maybe Lucilius, right? But realistically, one, it's important. There's for example, I'll give you an example that's all been popping up in my head the whole time, right? I was gonna say it's important to recognize sometimes when you are just outmatched kit-wise and stop trying to play fair, right? What's an example of this? I did some labbing a couple months ago now against, is there a video on defensive reactive opponents that you made? Yeah, I think it came out, it's an old one from November or something, but I think it came out on the channel like a couple days ago or something. It's like how to beat reactive players or something, right? But I'll give an example. I was doing some labbing against Cagliostro as Ladiva, right? And as you might know, Cagliostro in the corner can do some very nasty like spaced pressure with far H and stuff, right? And you can go like far H into spike or far H into traps. The traps are fake. You can mash from them. She's minus 33 if she goes far H into traps, but the spike will frame trap you, right? So it's like, and like Ladiva does not have like the safe buttons to contest Cag far H. They just don't exist, right? So when I started actually having a lot better of a time in the Cag matchup, and when like I started seeing a lot more success, is when I was like, I discovered, right, that you can just hard read if she does far H and goes into either spike or trap, Ladiva can U lariat and it'll punish either of them. Now, am I doing U lariat out of the corner against a Cag who was not committed to anything? Yes. If she spot dodges, do I lose like 10,000 health because she gets her optimal starter in the corner? Yes. But that is a situation where I am like, their kits matches up into my kits so well that if I just sit there and I try to go, all right, let's do the safe, correct play here, get out of the corner, I'm just gonna die. Eventually the RPS risk reward weighted in their favor is gonna get to me and I'm gonna go to hell, right? So instead, when you get to your lose conditions, you have to try and, it's a game of probability in the end of the day. It's a game of, consistently try like over a number, being like, winning one really tough set against a good player doesn't make you good. Winning consistently against top players makes you good. And, the most consistent way that I currently have in my mind when you get into like a really bad lose condition is try to cheat your way out of it, man. Like if like trying to cheat your way out of it is gonna kill you 60% of the time, that's fine. Because not trying to cheat your way out of it is gonna kill you 80% of the time, right? So I'll take that. I'll fucking take those odds, right? In your case, this is, again, you don't have U lariat, but you fucking could. For example, you actually could do like your U thing and hope it's safe on block at least, right? Unlike mine, you can't spot dodge it either. It's not invincible or anything, but you could try. But like sticking out, big ass buttons that are very hard to make whiff, right? Like your far H and shit like that. And just hope she blocks it and doesn't counter hit you. And then if you get her to block it, you can go into plus frames, you can go into Anitya, you can go into pillar, you can go to something, right? If you have your stock up, you can go into like Anitya into the stomp to be plus on block and get out of the corner and have your turn going now. Or alternatively, if she's so far away from you, this is good from you. If she's so far away, yeah, throw a fucking Anitya at her. Is there a chance she just kills you for it? Yes. But will you just die if you do nothing anyway? Also yes, right? If the Cag thinks Eulariat is coming and dodges, you can play around that easier than the far edge corner pressure. Yeah, like playing like a madman there actually makes the RPS more favorable for me, certainly, right? Because I gave up on trying to find a good answer and I just found the answer that works sometimes. The best answer. It's not good, but it's the best answer. But realistically, the thing I want to reiterate for the last time is this is the wrong question, right? This is the wrong question. The real question to ask is how can I avoid the corner versus this patient playstyle? How can I avoid the corner in this matchup? Not how can I get out of it, right? And we've talked about that a lot. Hold on to your turns like they're made of gold as Versusia, because Cat giving one turn to Catalina can so easily just completely turn the match around, right? If you get a knockdown and like maybe you could kill her in one or two more interactions, maybe don't go to get your 5U back. Go for the Oki instead. Don't give up the Oki for an investment in the future because you got no future, man, right? Like you're going straight to hell if you don't kill her immediately, etc., etc., right? So that is just about gonna do it, I think. That was a long time, man. We talked about this 10-minute replay for 48 minutes. I'm back in top form. I used to do 2 of these a video, but apparently I've forgotten how to be somewhat expedient here. But I hope this was useful. We're only 14 replay reviews away from actually being caught up. Yeah, I noticed that. That's why I'm like a little bit more okay with taking a little bit longer on this one, because there's a lot of very interesting things to talk about here that are not just applicable to Versusia Catalina, but sort of to the game as a whole. We talked about resources as well, right? Like resource advantages are not nothing in this game. Where it was the first round here somewhere. I think was it this? Yeah, was it this? Oh yeah, sure. This is an example. This wasn't one that I was thinking of, but this is an example, right? You did win this anyway. But like, yeah, man. If Catalina's trying to like big dick you here and like brave counter or brave counter, she can't do this, right? She literally this is like a those who know. Like she can't do this. You brave counter her back, and then if she blocks it, if she gets hit by it, it's your turn. If she blocks it, she can either choose, do I brave counter again and go to 0 brave points, and like inevitably you still have another one, so you'll be on 0 brave points and it'll still be your turn, just hopes it hits you, right? Or do I just like hold the L and let Versusia be +6 on block and get out of the corner, right? Like when you have a resource advantage, be really fucking mean about it. Right? Use it aggressively, especially when you only need one more interaction to kill the person, right? You have a brave point advantage. Use it, right? You have a screen space advantage we talked about over here, right? You have, where is it? It's when she's like almost dead to ship. It's like in game, yeah, right? you have a screen space advantage. Use it. Spend your screen space to increase your chances of victory. Right? Understand the advantages you have. BCing Catalina is a bad idea with 5U. I mean, not when she's BCing you, right? She can't 5U out of her BC, right? And also, so that only out of cancelable buttons, right? Like the other time that she like where to go here? Like there was earlier. She like 6XLs into him, I think, is what happens, right? Where is this? You have a resource advantage here at some point, don't you? I could have sworn. Oh, you don't have an advantage here, but still. So similar idea here, right? You don't have an advantage here, but in this case, it's like it's even, and you need to kill her. Guess what? Catalina can't 5U out of 6XL, right? Dash L, one of the key weaknesses of 6XL, as good as it is, and this is why system mechanics all fit into each other, like, very importantly, and that's why I'm, like, always so weary to change anything, because Dash L is really fucking good. Do you know the biggest weakness of Dash L? It's non-cancelable. So 6XLs are free Brave counters if you want them. Cats can do nothing to bait your 6XL, or your BC right now, right? Brave counter is the thing that keeps 6XL in check, kind of, right? So that's kind of another reason why, yes, Brave counter is too strong and it should not hard knock it on counter hits. But I'm like very against the idea of making Brave counter like really bad or something, right? Like nerfing it like 6 different ways, like I've seen people suggest, because it is sort of the natural predator that makes 6XL not just the button you spam and win sometimes, right? But point being, here is a similar idea. Use your resources when you have to kill her now. You have to kill her now. You lose this round, right? Because you don't kill her now. You have to kill her right now. If I'm you, I see that 6XL, I Brave counter her and I just hope for the best, right? I Brave counter her. Technically, you're at a disadvantage here, but Brave counter and just like try to kill her off that 6XL. Do something, because otherwise, if you do nothing, you know. Okay. Here's where it was. Right, I forgot about this. I remember you having an advantage here. Yeah, this is egregious, right? Me personally, anyway, because Catalina does this. Sure, because you put her in plus frames. That was good. Like you got that. You won that interaction. You got her Brave point out of her. That's a huge win for you. There is no reason to be doing this, right? There's no reason for you to do this, because guess what? Again, we're back in the same scenario here, where you now have a Brave point advantage, right? Why DP here? If you Brave counter Catalina here, if she like 6XLs at you again, which she could, right? Or even if she does anything non-cancelable, like an auto combo ender or something like that, right? I guess auto combo ender is not non-cancelable, you know what I mean? Like if she does something non-cancelable, or you just have a read, which again, you know, yes, if your Brave counter gets baited and she 5Us you, you're gonna die. But guess what? If you do nothing, you're gonna die 100% of the time, actually. But if you Brave counter her, and then you run some Oki, and then she gets up and she Brave counters you, well then she's out of Brave points, so you have one more. We're back to the same scenario from earlier where you have an advantage, right? Alternatively, if she's like, I can't do that because I'm gonna run out of resources, if she's aware of this, then she might have to commit to like, one, either like just letting you run a turn of offense on her, which makes your chances of hitting her and killing her quite high, or Hail Marying on a reversal, and if you block her reversal, she dies, right? Now again, I'm not saying is that like 100% win rates? No, but this is not what wins you this round, right? Very good point by Exceedingly made too. That like, if this DP hits, you don't even win, right? So I think this is more. You are very much like, this is great. You got that offer. That's great. Now you need to realize you just earned yourself a resource advantage and use it correctly, right? And using it correctly here is brute forcing the Catalina out with Brave counters and being like, you know, if she's a knower, then she'll be like, fuck, I'm at a resources advantage. I have to do something. I have to like conserve. I have to get a turn back without using a resource. And the only ways to do that are either just outplaying you on your turn, which is dangerous because she's in the corner, so she's at a disadvantage, and it's more likely she'll lose and get hit, right? Or she has to spend a reversal to get her turn back without spending a Brave point. Both of those are very risky. Or she can Brave counter you, right? And then it just loops back into the same situation. It goes from 2 to 1 to 1 to 0, right? So, resources. Keep an eye on your resources. And honestly, your health is important, certainly, but your Brave points and your screen space are honestly more important resources. Me personally, right? At the end of the day, you are just as effective on 5 health as you are on 16,000 health. You are not as effective on 0 Brave points as you are at 3, right? You simply just have fewer options on defense, and you'll get stuck sooner, right? Of course, having low health like tilts risk reward and forces you into things. I'm not saying it's okay to be low on health, but like, again, the big thing I would say here is like, from here, I think from once this happens, I think you're in a winning position, right? Once you force this out of the Catalina, I genuinely think you're in a winning position, right? You're both dead in one hit, Probably, right? Because Rashija can convert so well off any random bullshit, and like even like 2M, and also because you have screen space advantage, which isn't just for spacing. It also means if you get like 2M into like your heavy lariat here, you get a full corner combo. So any poke kills off here, right? So you're both gonna kill each other in one hit, right? She has an advantage in that throw kills you too. You're also closer to chip, sure, but you're both gonna die in one hit, and then you have a brave point. You're a brave point up on her. Meter doesn't matter because you're both gonna kill each other in one hit regardless. So like, you are in a winning situation. This was great by you to like, you said, fuck it, I'm gonna mash in your plus frames. You are right, why not? You have to guess, you have to do something or else you'll lose, right? You guessed right, you got a brave point out, you're winning now. This is not the move of someone who's winning. This is the move of someone who thinks they're about to die and they're panicking. I personally, my evaluation, you're in a winning scenario right here. So there's no need to do a panic option, press your advantage instead, right? All right, let's do another fucking replay. I'm gonna be here. Literally, we've actually been talking about this for an hour. It is, I could make like, dude, I could make like 4 different videos out of this. Like, I don't, like, what the fuck do I title this? I feel like this is, I don't know, maybe I'm just like more awake today or something. Like, this is one of, there's so many important fundamental concepts to like getting good at the video game in this video that I have no idea how I'm supposed to, we'll see. That's a me problem. That's a me problem. Still though, Laquai, I know you're way better at the game now than you were in November. I understand that, but hopefully if someone else is like, just these are like the kind of things that get you from that like early master level to like, fighting with some of the big boys and being a little bit better about it, right? So like, if anyone else has just broken that barrier, which I know like a couple people in the community have at the very least, right? Hopefully this kind of thing is useful to them as well, even if it's no longer useful to Laquai. Laquai certainly is a lot more of a killer now than he was then, right? But yeah. That is going to do it for this replay. Guess what we're going to do, stream? We're going to do another replay review right now, immediately after this. With this Lucy versus Grant. Interesting. Okay, yeah. But for now, VOD watchers, hello. Hi. Hope you had a good time with the video. If you did, any kind of like, subscribes, comments, bells, they all help out, all that good stuff. Give me relink or give me death. Maybe next Saturday, forgive it, next Saturday. It's listen, I want to play some relink too. I'm very addicted, but moderation. We got Grand Blue Rising to do here. But yes, like, subscribes, comments, bells. You can become a member if you have some extra income lying around and you want to support the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. No pressure, of course. I also stream. Come by, hang out. Link in the description down there. I also have the Discord right here if you want to post a replay. If you want to have make some friends. Get some matches, whatever you want to do. But most importantly, this be nice, or I'll shoot in the head in Minecraft. Most importantly, hope you had a great time hanging out today, as always. I know I sure did. Somehow, this is a 57-minute video. Why not, man? There's a lot of good stuff in there. Having a lot of fun with Rising. Gonna be a lot more coming your way. And until then, I will see you in the next one. Peace. Substream basically became Relink Saturday.